Hi, everybody. So for today, you are going to be working on a math logic puzzle. And wait for it, it's a puzzle where you use math logic to solve it. Okay. So I'm going to go through and explain how you will complete this activity. You'll have a couple days to work on it. You don't have to finish it all today. But today, your focus is going to be on this logic puzzle. Okay. So excuse me. So you'll notice on the front it says, make sure you read the directions on the next slide carefully and also look for directions on the bottom of each slide. Remember, to duplicate something, you're going to press Control D, okay? Now, here's the thing. When you get to this part, you may be like, oh my gosh, the words are so small. So there's a couple different things you can do to make them bigger. If you click on this little arrow, it'll make some of the extra icons go away. It gets a little bit bigger, okay? There's also the zoom that you can use to zoom in and be able to scroll back and forth to see. Okay, so I'm not going to go through and read all these directions to you. These are here for you in case you get stuck after watching this video. But here's our first part. Okay, so what you need to do first is go through and solve each of these problems. So essentially what you are doing is you are saying, is y 6 more than x, 9 times as big as x? What are you doing to get from x to y in each of the terms? Okay. So you might say y is, we'll do this one together. 6, how do I get from 6 to 9? Add 3. 12 to 15, add 3. 18 to 21, add 3. 24 to 27, add 3. Add 3. Okay, so y is 3 more than x. Bam, just like that, okay? So you'll go through all of these, figure out what the rule is for each one. Then you'll come down here. There's a pink circle up at the top. You're going to use that magical Control D to duplicate it as many times as you need to. Because number 1, we said y is 3 more than x. So we need to duplicate this circle and we need to find 3 more than x. Put a circle around it. Bam. Okay. You'll go through and do that for each problem. Problem number 2, figure out what the rule is, then duplicate the pink circle, well, oval, and put the pink oval over on top of where it is, okay? Then, once you have finished that, you go down to the clue sheet. So you'll see this handy dandy little X up here. So basically what you're doing is each time you use a letter, like I used E, I'm going to duplicate this check, go to E, and drop, well, if I move my little picture out of the way, whoop, now I can do it. There we go. So I'll put the little check mark at E, and I'm good to go, okay? Notice at the top it says, as soon as a clue has 2 check marks beside it, you can use that clue to solve the logic puzzle. So if it has more than 2 checks, that's fine, but a clue has to have at least 2 in order for it to be a valid clue to solve the puzzle. Now, here's the thing. If you're not careful about this step, or if you weren't careful about any of the other steps, if you put 2 or more checks next to a clue that really should only have 1 check, you're then going to mess up the whole rest of everything else that you're doing, okay? So be careful and make sure that you are looking carefully at the other slides while you do this one, okay? So then as you go through, once you have all your check marks done, then it's time to come down to the logic puzzle, okay? Now, this is a multi-grid logic puzzle. You have Wally, Avery, Jack, Maddie, Kurt, and Bailey. We're trying to figure out when their birthdays are, okay? So the months are February, November, June, August, March, and September. The days are either going to be the 22nd, the 8th, 28th, 17th, 3rd, or 14th, okay? Notice how you have the days here, and you also have the days down here, okay? That's because going in this direction, you are figuring out which month and day matches each person, okay? When you go down, you're figuring out or comparing kind of the month with the kid with the date, okay? Basically, what happens as you solve this is you end up eliminating so many different people that once you end up with, let's say, I'm going to draw on the screen. You'll have, oops, my bad. You have X's and checks to be able to duplicate. But let's say I ended up, let's say I ended up having X, 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 like this, okay? That means that, oh, well, the only one left for Wally is June, okay? Now, here's the thing. Once I say I figured out that Wally's birthday is in June, guess whose birthdays can't be in June? Avery, Jack, Maddie, Kurt, and Bailey. Okay, so once you can start eliminating, use that logic and think, well, Wally was born in June, therefore nobody else can be born in June. So you can cross all that out. Okay, and all of that you're going to do, let me erase this really quick. All of that you're going to do based on these clues. Okay, the clues you might not use in order. You might use one and then be like, oh, that makes me think of this clue down here, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so this part right here, the logic puzzle, is really meant to be challenging. It should be challenging. That's kind of the point, is to make you work on those critical thinking skills. Okay, with all that said, if you're working on this and working on it and working on it and you're getting frustrated, let us know, because really kind of our main focus here is this page right here to make sure that you're understanding, finding the patterns, okay? Everything else after is really just to help you work on those critical thinking skills and to give you a challenge, okay? So one last thing before I go. So I put down at the bottom in the notes that if you would rather, you can solve this on paper. And then instead of having to put the X's in all the different places, you can just put the checks where you figure out on paper. That's fine too, whatever floats your boat, okay? Whatever's gonna be easiest as well. If you have any questions, make sure you pop into our office hours, either mine or Miss Powers, and we are happy to help. Happy solving!